Welcome to this explainer. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're going to explicitly ground ourselves right from the jump by looking directly at a very specific and honestly fascinating piece of source material. This is ACIM, Lesson 139, and we're going to break down its profound, sometimes challenging, but ultimately beautiful message so that absolutely anyone can understand exactly what it's trying to convey. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so we're going to dive right in by anchoring our minds on today's core lesson. The text gives us the single, incredibly powerful statement, I will accept atonement for myself. Now, I know that might sound a bit formal, maybe even a little religious at first glance, right? But as you'll see, the text uses these words in a completely unique way. It's essentially this radical, game-changing statement of self-acceptance.
So, instead of our usual traditional overview today, I actually want you to ask yourself a profound question right now. Just take a second and think, what actually happens when we stop doubting who we are? I want to get us into a really contemplative state of mind here, because the text we're analyzing suggests something wild, that virtually all of our daily struggles stem from a single, deeply hidden doubt about our own identity. Crazy, right?
Section 1. The End of Choice. The Illusion of Uncertainty.
To begin unpacking this whole idea, we've got to look at the concept of choice. And the text provocatively frames choice not as some great symbol of freedom like we usually think, but actually as a symptom of deep, deep uncertainty. The crucial point here is that every single conflict, every doubt we ever experience, roots all the way back to the single agonizing question of, what am I? The author argues that when you finally come to a decision to accept yourself exactly as you were created, well, choice essentially ends. Why? Because you aren't uncertain anymore. If you truly knew exactly what you were, there'd be no agonizing over choices, no inner conflict. You would simply exist in absolute total certainty. And this brilliantly illustrates the text's incredibly strong stance on the matter. The source proposes that walking around without knowing your true nature is essentially believing you are already dead. I mean, think about it. What is life except to actually be yourself? If you're constantly denying who you are literally denying life itself. It's a really stark contrast that forces you to totally reevaluate how you see your own existence.
Section 2. The Madness of Doubt. Questioning our existence.
Building on that life and death idea, the author literally calls doubting our own existence a form of madness. It's this absurd agitation of doubting our very being. The source just rapid fires these rhetorical questions at us here to totally break down the logic of our own self-doubt. It starts with the absolute mystery of who exactly is doing the doubting in the first place. Like, if you are questioning who you are, then who is the you asking the question? The text suggests that only someone who has actively refused to recognize themselves could possibly ask this with a straight face. Then, we really have to ask ourselves, what exactly is being questioned? The author points out something super interesting. The only thing any living creature can be absolutely sure of is what it is. Everything else we observe out there in the world is filtered through that one central point of certainty. So to doubt your own essential nature, it's completely illogical.
The philosophical tension really peaks right here. It highlights that a mind questioning its own reality is just hopelessly tangled up in vast self-deception. We're talking about an illusion on a scale so massive, it's honestly hard to even wrap your head around. You're essentially pretending to be something else, and then interrogating yourself just to figure out what that something else is. Mind-bending, isn't it? So ultimately, who can answer him? Well, the text argues that you could never be alive at all unless, deep down, you already knew the answer. If you ask these questions as if you don't know, it merely shows you refusing to accept the truth. You've essentially judged against your true self, denied its worth, and just decided you'd rather pretend you don't know the only certainty by which you live.
Section 3. What is atonement? Redefining the remedy.
To solve this really agonizing problem of self-doubt we've just laid out, we're going to need to completely redefine a word you probably think you already know. Often we hear the word atonement and we immediately think of penance, guilt, or making up for some terrible, awful sin. But the text defines it totally differently. Atonement is simply a peaceful remedy for a very strange idea, the idea that it's even possible to doubt yourself. That's it. It's just a correction of a mistake in your thinking, not some kind of cosmic punishment. Because here is the really good news according to the source. Your denial made absolutely no actual change in what you are. Instead, it just created this illusion of a split mind. One part knows the truth, and the other part is just playing a game of not knowing. The atonement is the remedy that heals this split, bringing you right back to the holy mind, which is set forever in absolute, unshakable certainty. And the text absolutely does not mince words about our current situation. It goes so far as to literally call the world mad. It describes the world as a home where those who refuse to know themselves come to endlessly question what they are. That's why it states just flatly, nothing the world believes is true. The universal questions we all share, the anxiety, the constant doubt, they don't prove that doubt is real. They just prove we're all sharing in the exact same collective illusion.
Section 4. Our shared mission. You are not alone.
But hey, we didn't come here to just reinforce this madness, right? Our mission shifts here from internal healing to our external connection with absolutely everyone around us. This beautifully demonstrates that by accepting atonement, you are literally proclaiming salvation for everyone. Fail not your brothers, or you fail yourself. We're instructed to look lovingly on others because they are, quite literally, a part of you. The text asserts that in creation, all minds are one. So when you heal your own mind and accept the truth of who you are, you're actually doing it for the entire collective. Talk about a real game changer.
Section 5. Today's daily practice, putting the lesson into action.
Now that we thoroughly understand the philosophy behind the text, let's get practical and break down exactly how you can apply this remedy today with a highly actionable practice straight from the source material. It is beautifully simple. Step 1, dedicate just 5 minutes in the morning. Step 2, 5 minutes at night. And Step 3, take a brief conscious moment to repeat your dedication every hour throughout the day. During these little pockets of time, you're asked to clear your mind of what the text calls the world's foolish cobwebs and just recognize the fragile nature of the chains keeping you from total self-awareness.
And during those dedicated times, you're going to use this exact mantra. I will accept atonement for myself, for I remain as God created me. You just repeat this to remind yourself that you haven't actually lost the knowledge of who you truly are. You're simply remembering it. You accept the remedy, not to change reality, but just to accept the pure truth about yourself.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought, a real question to carry with you as you go about your day. Will you lay aside the world's foolish cobwebs today and finally accept who you truly are? Just let that sink in as you practice this lesson. Go your way rejoicing in the endless certainty that is your true nature. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this deeply structured look at the text has brought you some clarity and, most importantly, some peace today.